Good morning, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world. You've tuned in to the Mac City Morning Show. I am your host, Elliot Pierre, and we're going to start the show off the same way we do every show, with a moment of gratitude. I know you could be doing a million other things with your time, and the fact that you're choosing to spend it with us truly does mean the world to me, so thank you very much. On that note, Tanner, hit him with the intro.
How's she cotton, me loves? You're listening to the Mac City Morning Show.
All right, and we're back. I'm going to enjoy this show. This is a complete stranger, and I think everybody knows at this point I love talking to complete strangers. So let's get going. As you also know, I do not introduce my guests. I let them do that themselves because they can do a better job than I. So on that note, can you please introduce yourself to the people at home?
Sure. So my name's Sherry MacEachern. I am a success coach and the owner of Joyful Roots Coaching. And in my coaching, I really help people to identify what a successful life means to them
Okay.
and what's really holding them back from getting everything that it is that they want to have in their life,
Right.
and then creating an action plan and supporting them along the journey.
Cool. Very cool. Okay. All right. I've got loads of questions now. I go out of my way to do zero research on my guests.
Oh, cool.
Like
Okay.
I prepare nothing.
Oh,
And so
good.
after like you connected with us and like you explained roughly what you did, I didn't follow any of your stuff on purpose.
Okay.
So now that I know what you do, get ready for the questions. Okay, so you're a success coach. What does success mean? What's the definition? What are people looking for when they come in contact with you?
Okay, so that's a really, really great question. And so what we know is that in every culture, society has kind of a predefined kind of definition or prescription, if you will, of what a successful life looks like.
That's right.
Different cultures is, different. I would say probably in North America, if I could just rhyme off a few things, what I was raised to believe was that if you were successful, you had a certain level of money, a certain amount of money,
That's right.
a certain title or status in your career, a certain level of education, you looked a certain way,
Right.
you had, relationships or whatever. So it's kind of like a little bit predefined.
Mm-hmm.
However, every one of us is really unique and really individual.
That's right.
And so we grow up in this society that kind of tells us like this is the box of what success is.
Mm-hmm.
And not every one of us lines up with exactly what we've been told.
That's right.
So in my own journey, I grew up to be very, I don't want to say submissive, but I wanted to be a good girl, right? I wanted to fit in. I wanted to follow the rules. I did what my parents said. I did what my teacher said.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was kind of at the point where I was about to graduate high school, I felt like I was extremely well set up for success. Top of my class in marks, scholarships everywhere I applied to university. I was going to become an engineer, and I had all these things wrapped up in that I'm going to be successful and impressive, and I'm going to have this impressive life.
Right.
And when I got out and started actually living life in the real world, I started to realize that as I was accumulating more things that people told me I should have,
Mm-hmm.
I was putting in like, it felt like the level of effort I was putting in was kind of like up here,
Yeah.
but the reward was sort of down here. So on the outside, it looked very impressive. It looked successful. People were telling me what a great job I was doing in all sorts of areas, but it didn't feel that impressive to me.
That's right.
So it led me down this journey of trying to figure out like, well, what does success look like to me? And in that journey, realized that so many other people really struggle with that as well.
That's right. No, it's so true. I fall into that same bucket in regards to like after graduating college, like I was pretty successful in regards to I was like an HR manager for a very big company. I had like the nice house, car, watch, wife, child, so on and so forth. And I'm a happy-go-lucky person as it is, but once you start accumulating those things and you hit that threshold of like what society tells you, hey, this is success, and you get it, and luckily for me, it was at a young age, then you start looking at it and you're just like, what does this really mean? And like, this can't be it. And so you start like looking for other things. So that's what you do. Okay.
Yeah.
So now when somebody's talking to you, like what kind of, like what's the process? What are the steps to like get started?
Yeah. So the very first step before the actual step is
Yeah.
for people, and I've built my work around what's called the success principles.
Okay.
So, which is more like a framework of success. It's not like a how-to guide, like here you know, like a 10-step checklist.
Right.
It's more of building a foundation around how you can apply these success principles to any single area of your life.
Okay.
And so the number one principle, the very first principle, if anyone takes anything away, is to take 100% responsibility for our life and to not give our power away to other people.
Okay. Okay.
And that's all about really looking at everything that has ever happened to us in our lives and anything that's ever going to happen to our lives and saying, how did I play a part in that?
Right. Yeah. Being accountable.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So when people come and see you, what do you think are some of the top things they're looking for in regards to success? Is it the stereotypical like money, position, or are they individuals kind of like myself years ago who were just like, hey, I've achieved and I'm looking for more?
Mm. So it's a bit of a variety. Everybody's different. You know,
Okay.
some people want more tangible things, like they want to get a promotion or they want to go back to school. They want to start a business,
Right.
like do something really cool like this. Like I know you had a corporate job and now
Yeah.
you're doing this really like creative, interesting connection piece.
Yeah.
I don't know your whole story, of course, but
Yeah.
um, so it can be a variety. Some people, what I find the most people in kind of the target market that I work with is people are like, I don't know what I want.
Right.
I don't feel like this is all that there is, that should be.
That's
and I
right.
have no idea what it is that I want.
Okay.
And so sometimes we have to just spend a lot of time really going deep into that. And it's fascinating because I know you have a small child, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We get programmed very early in life to push away the things that we want and to do the things that we're told we're supposed to do.
Okay.
And for a lot of reasons, that makes a lot of sense, in society, so it's not chaotic. But what we find is the more, it's like anything, the more you do that thing over and over and over again, the more it becomes second nature. So a lot of us will wake up in mid-adulthood and say, like, I can't even tell you. I know I want something different, but I don't know what it is.
Right.
And so there are lots of ways that we can kind of dig into that, and because the things that we want, they just live inside of us, even
Right.
if we're really disconnected from them. So there's a process to kind of going through that and helping people understand.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Now, how did you get into this? And is there like an accreditation or did you go to school, or is this just life experience has brought you to this point?
Yeah, really good question. Um, so I have several certifications in coaching. Coaching is a rather unregulated field.
Right.
It's getting a little bit more regulated, but lots of people can call themselves a coach without any like accreditation, and that's okay. You're not breaking any rules.
Yeah.
So for me, what happened in my own life was, like I kind of alluded to before, it's actually when I moved to Fort McMurray, actually. So I moved to Fort McMurray, and all of a sudden, I started accumulating wealth that I had never, and a lot of us kind of understand this story, right? Before
That's right.
There's so much opportunity. And so when I looked at all of the things that I thought a successful life looked like, the number one thing was money. That's what if you had lots of money, everything else you could figure out. And so what happened pretty quickly, I moved here when I was 28, and all of a sudden my income like exploded.
That's right.
And because my employment income had exploded, I was able to do all these things, real estate investment, and I had this whole other thing going on here. And like I said before, it felt like, or it seemed like everything was going really well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all very exciting. And then after the excitement wore off, I just realized that this wasn't what I wanted. And I
Right.
had no idea what I wanted. Like, I did not have a backup plan. This was the plan.
Right.
And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, it just didn't seem to be enough.
That's right.
And it was a really hard time because, number one, I didn't know what to do next. And I also had a lot of emotions, like guilt and shame about not being more appreciative of what I had.
Mm-hmm.
Because
No
I
doubt.
was really grateful. And so it was hard to share that with other people because it's like, oh, like your life looks so great. Like, what are you complaining about? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I had no idea what to do. I was talking to other people, trying to figure it out. I was like, oh, maybe it's just another job I need, or another promotion, or I'll do something else, or maybe I need to make so much money that I just don't have to work anymore, and then that'll solve all my problems.
Right.
And I was leaving the gym one night, and I just happened to see a poster on the wall about a coaching certification. It's like a intense 30-hour, give up your weekend kind of thing and get certified.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there and I thought this could maybe help me. Like I didn't really think it might be a career option, but
Right.
I don't remember sitting there at one point and it was just like an epiphany, like in a light bulb, like, oh, this is actually the thing I was meant to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to go back to your question, that was a long-winded
That's
answer.
okay. No, this is a great way to explain yourself.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, so that was my first certification. Then I ended up doing like a year-long certification to become a health coach.
Okay.
And I started my coaching practice as a health coach. But then I realized that the most fascinating thing about people that I feel like we get really wrong in this arena is that everyone's trying to sell us like a how-to list to do
Mm-hmm.
things, and we have access to so much information all around us. Like if you want to learn anything, you're pretty much like 3 clicks away from
Yeah.
anything you want to know, right?
That's right.
Anything.
Yeah.
And so what I my health coaching practice is that the problem isn't that we don't know what we need to do. The problem is we know what we need to do, but we don't know why we're not doing it.
Okay. Okay.
So then that led me to kind of down the path of like really going deep into the roots and to really trying to figure out like what's the root cause of what's actually holding us back.
Right. Right. Fascinating. No, it's true. It's one of those things in Fort McMurray where with my background of human resources, like I was responsible for hiring people and dealing with their mental health issues and firing people in a lot of situations as well. But what I did find in Fort McMurray was exactly what you stated: was you come to Fort McMurray at a young age, and then you're given everything you're supposed to get young. So it's like an early midlife crisis.
Oh yeah, it's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
And I had tons of men and women come into my office saying like, "Hey, listen, I've achieved this. What's next? Because I'm 29, 35. There's no way I can continue doing what I'm doing, which is the top of my career, for the next 40 years. Like, I'm going to be driven mad. I'm so bored."
Yeah.
But like you said, I have nobody to talk to. I can't go to my friends and be like, I'm the operation manager of one of the biggest oil sand companies in the world for this organization, and I'm miserable. In regards to, I'm not miserable, but I can't do this forever. And so yeah, it's a good place to be in, but it's a weird place to be in for sure.
We're not, yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's like we're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
I often think, like, in my experience, when I look back at my experience, I'm like, especially, coming from back east, like East Coast, it's like, well, most people strive for this their whole life and actually never achieve it. So
That's
they
right.
actually never really get to know what it feels like. And to feel
right.
like that in your early 30s, yeah, it felt very strange and very alone, even though, which is silly because there's so many people now I realize that are going through that.
Yeah, it's something that people just don't chat about. I was fortunate enough to be like in that office where people would come and share that, and I was feeling the same thing. I was the HR manager for a very large company in town when I was 25.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy to have that opportunity at that young of an age, and I was able to keep the job and excel at it for 7+ more years. But that's something that people that I went to school with, and some of you, even the people that taught me, my professors, hadn't achieved in their life. I still have colleagues that are still in entry level human resource roles in major cities. So yeah, if you're chugging along to achieve that goal and you get it when you're like 60, well, you know what? Game over.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you get it quickly, and it's a blessing, because then, like, and I've never gone through your program, or we've never spoken, but for me, it was a blessing to happen so young, because then it really, you got to focus on, like, internally, like, what do I want? What makes me happy? What do I do? And yeah, it's nice to have money. It's nice to have pretty things. I'm a big supporter of nice, pretty things. But there's another complete different aspect of like what success does and what is and what makes you happy.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So what part of the East Coast are you from?
Prince Edward Island.
PEI. Oh, nice. What part of PEI?
I grew up in a little town called Cardigan.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we moved in high school, moved and a little bit more central.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I love PEI.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
PEI is the
amazing.
best.
Yeah.
PEI in the summer
I know.
is unreal.
I know.
I like Charlottetown, obviously, it's the capital. But I've stayed, you guys have like a base there in Summerside?
Yeah. Yeah.
And once or twice, I've actually stayed in the base because I couldn't get a hotel anywhere else.
Oh,
So
really?
you can like rent one of their, I don't know what you want to call it, but their rooms.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you get to stay with like the cadets or whoever's there, and you eat in the mess hall and
Oh,
everything.
that's cool. I
As a
didn't know that.
civilian, it
Oh,
is,
that's cool.
it's legit.
Wow.
It's really legit.
The
Yeah,
word
so-
you're looking for is barracks.
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 There we go.
That is it,
Thank you,
yeah.
Tanner. That's what it's called. Yeah, I used to work for a company in my early 20s called Eveready. They're now called Clean Harbors,
Yeah, yeah.
and so I used to
They're big
recruit.
up here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that
So
was it was here.
It was here. Yeah.
right
So I
there.
used to recruit people and bring them back. So I spent a lot of time on the East Coast,
Ah,
and yeah, PI. Oh,
I know.
beautiful.
It's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
Magical.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and then you have that sweet long bridge that takes you
Yeah.
across. So, yeah. On that note, you and I could chat forever. So I don't want to steal Tanner's shine. So he has a segment called the
Yeah,
Mac
I
City
know.
Minute. So I don't know what he's going to ask. Like myself, we don't do a lot of prep before the guests come. So best of luck to you. Tanner, hit her with the Mac City Minute.
Question number 1. What do you think is the number one tip to bringing success to yourself?
Really being honest and asking yourself what it is that I truly, truly want.
Question number 2. How would you define your own version of success?
Good one. For me, the biggest one is living and working in my zone of genius and really being able to follow my inner guidance systems when things change. I'm able to kind of go with the flow and not feel so stuck in the box all of the time.
Question number 3. What is your favorite part of helping people gain success in their life?
Oh, I just love it when people come alive and tap into their truest potential that they've been just ignoring for such a long time, and the world just needs that so much.
Question number 4. What is your favorite success story from your time coaching?
With a client, you mean?
Any success story.
I don't really want to share any client stories. I probably could talk about myself. I think just my own personal journey of overcoming feeling so, I guess, handcuffed to what was prescribed to me and being able to actually break free of that. And it's a struggle still every day. But yeah, I would say my own success story. Am I?
And your final question, what have you learned about yourself from coaching other people?
That anytime I try to tell somebody what I think they should do, it's always my ego getting in the way. And what I always have to I would always have to remind myself is that the answers are inside of the people that I'm working with. They are not inside of me, they're inside that other person.
And those have been your 5 questions.
Nice. Good questions. I know the people at home don't get to see my face when Tanner's asking the questions because it's like always on the guest. But I'm constantly like my jaw is always dropped. I'm giving him thumbs up. I'm like throwing my hands in the air. Like I don't know where this kid comes up with these questions.
I know, that
Thank
was
you.
that was deep.
They're deep questions.
Yeah.
I know.
After just a few minutes.
Yeah, that's Tanner, man, killing it
Thank you.
as per usual. So how long have you been doing this for?
So that epiphany that I had was 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, but however, at that point, I had I knew that it was what I needed to do. I
Right.
had no idea how I was going to actually make it happen.
Yeah.
So I started my business in 2016.
Okay.
And it's been more of a side hustle for a really long time.
Okay.
So it's only been more recently that I'm actually like, okay, Sherry, step it up.
Yeah.
This is your time. This is what you were meant to do.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so technically it's been about 5 years, but
Okay.
I would say maybe like a couple years where it's been like a little bit more directive.
That's awesome. Very cool. Very, very cool. Now, we're coming to the end of the show, unfortunately. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry for everybody at home. I got way more questions, and I want you to come back again and again because I think like what you're doing is actually crucial, especially in the community that we live in. Like I think there's a lot of people that could get a lot of benefit from you. So we're gonna keep going even after the cameras are off.
Okay.
But before I let you go, shameless shout out. Can you please tell everybody at home once again who you are, what your business is, and how they can get in contact with you?
Yeah, for sure. So my name again is Sherry MacEachern. My business name is Joyful Roots Coaching. So you can find my website for more information as joyfulroots.ca. I have a Joyful Roots Success Coaching Facebook page. So you can always send me a message there. And just as an FYI, if anyone's interested in just learning a little bit more, I always offer a free 45-minute consultation to kind of get a feel for, if it would be a good fit to work for each other, and we can do a little bit of laser coaching in that session as well.
That's awesome. Very cool. Okay. Well, on that note, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world, that's another episode of Mac City Morning Show done. I've been your host, Elliot Pierre. Thank you once again for tuning in. It really does mean the world to me. And on that note, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
I said this. That's another Mac City Morning Show done.
It's so ballistic!
Talk about quenching your ugly thirst.